Hi guys, it's Pete from MyJewelryBench.com. Today we're going to talk about these two particular watches. We're not going to go into too much detail, but let me tell you, a customer of mine wants to purchase these and he wants to find out what's wrong with them. So we are going to open them up and determine what we can about the problems that they might have. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is tackle this particular wristwatch. So I am going to put on my gloves. We're going to open it up. We're going to find out what's going on inside with it, because it does not run at all, but it winds well. And that tells me that there could be either an excessive amount of dirt, or it could be a problem with perhaps the balance wheel. So the first thing I want to do is take a look at this watch. It is a solid gold watch. So I'm going to be very careful with it. I'm going to look for the point at which to open it, and it is right here. And very gently, I'm going to see if I can open this just by prying it, and there it goes. So I've got it open. And now let's take a look at the watch inside and see what's going on with it. So I'm going to hold it like this, and we are going to determine whether or not it winds. It does wind. It is not an automatic. The next thing I want to do is just poke around in here very carefully and take a look. And if we actually look at the movement, it's very clean. So the gasket's doing its job. It's staying pretty clean. I just want to see what's going on with the balance here. It looks like this balance wheel, if we notice, see how slow it turns back? It is extremely dirty, which means that probably the upper and lower jewels are bad, or not bad, but very dirty or gummed up with oil. And I'm just going to see if I can move this ever so slightly. It looks like it's pretty seized up. So even though it looks clean, I can tell this watch is going to need a full service, just because none of the gears want to move at all. And that's not a good sign. That means that the oil that was used has dried up and turned into like a sludge, and it's keeping this watch from rotating. So if I just ever so gently put some pressure on these gears, theoretically I should see the train move, but because the train's not moving at all, we know that we're going to need a good full service. And I'm going to take a very good zoom in. Very hard to tell if there's dried up oil in there because I don't see any of it. So I'm thinking it's probably on the underside of the dial that this watch is giving me a problem. So that's an issue for this. This watch is going to need a full service. Nothing looks broken in there, which is a good sign. Just going to throw this back together and put that aside. The other watch the customer wants me to look at is this pocket watch. And let me zoom out here so we can get it into view. So this pocket watch is a Longines, if I'm not mistaken. This is the Longines. And we can see that the front part of the hunter case does not want to open. That's never a good thing. So I'm going to try to gently force it open. And here we go. It is a Meridian. That means it's a Swiss or European watch. And we have a good crystal. We have some dial damage that we could repair. We have some crazing in the dial that can be cleaned out pretty easily. Now let's find out what's going on inside. I'm just going to close up that front cover just because we don't need it open again. And I'm going to look at this particular watch and I'm going to find out what's going on here. If I wind it, I can tell it's fully wound, which means that the mainspring is wound all the way to the end and the watch is not releasing. Now I'm just going to put a little pressure on the main wheel here, and you can see that we get some movement in the balance, and the whole train wants to run. That's kind of what I was hoping with in the wristwatch. And it doesn't want to run well. But if I put an equal amount of pressure on it, you can see the train is moving. And if we look closely at the jewels on this watch, you can see now that I've put pressure on it, it's running on its own. Jewels do show some signs of dried up oil and debris. And that's pretty typical for an old pocket watch, and this thing probably hasn't been serviced in 40, 50 years. The fact that it's running on its own now is a good sign, and probably what I would have to do is a complete full service. I would check to see if I could get another mainspring for this particular model or find one that's comparable, and if I couldn't, I would just refurbish the existing mainspring as long as it's not kinked or broken. So those are my recommendations for these two particular watches: full services and a full cleaning, and then they will be back in service. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing, and I hope you enjoyed this video and it helps you. Have a good day, guys.